truth, and I'm telling you, it's rock and it's roll. So there was an old man about a year ago. He's laying there in his bed in his hospital, out of his head, out of his heart. Went through some grueling surgery, I reckon. He don't remember none of it, man. They just knocked him out and went at it, And now he's got to learn how to do everything all over again, including going to the bathroom and all that stuff. And he's feeling kind of helpless, but little by little, even though he keeps a good attitude, it's coming back, and little by little, that life's trickling in, but he can feel it kind of wavering. And he don't let on to nobody that's what's going on, but he's laying there in his hospital, and he's like lost his telephone numbers, lost his telephone, all that stuff, it's all gone. He's got a phone beside that bed, he can make some phone calls if he can just figure out who to call him, what number he maybe might remember, otherwise he's going to be stuck there in his hospital for a bit, man, and he might just die there. And there's one thing inside of him that he doesn't want to see happen. He doesn't want to die down there in the big city where that hospital is. Ain't no way. Now, this dude, he lives way out in this remote place on the side of a mountain where there ain't too many people around and lots of bears, not too many buffalo, but a few of them down below. I mean, it's just, wow, a magnificent place. And right there above him is this mighty gray granite peak that just shines the light of love down into this broad valley below him. And he's right there in the flow of it, don't you know? And if there's any place he wants to pass away, he wants it to be there on that mountainside, for heck's sake. Not down there in that big city with all them trains and stinky oil tankers and just all that traffic and all that noise and, people coming in the middle of the night on life flight and stuff like, no. Sirens and shoots and, no. You don't want to pass away there. You want your soul up there in the high mountain where you can breathe your last breath with contentment, and not be surrounded by all that crazy energy, just the energy of natural love, man, So everything is natural, and it just goes where it's got to go. And one thing he does know, he's not going to hang on suffering. Ain't no way, man, Either it's going to, get better from this moment on, or, it's just get it out here, okay? He's not that kind, man. He watches his own folks wither away, and a lot of folks besides that. And it's not the path, He told them, die with the shovel in your hand, die with the steering wheel in your hand, whatever it was they loved. Die doing what you love, Well, he hadn't quite figured out what he loved yet, man, let alone what to be doing when he died. But, shit, here we are in a situation that never should have happened in the first place. But the entire thing just got out of hand. He thought he was doing the right thing, man, taking the right medicine and everything, but somebody's stuff was too weak and somebody else's wasn't effective, and this and that and the other, and oh my God. Next thing you know, he's laying there in that hospital bed, wondering how long he's going to live or whether he's going to be dead, and he needs to get out of there, and he ain't got no phone numbers. But some little miracle happens. Somebody finds out. One phone number comes through, and from that another, and then another, and then another, and finally there's a ride. After 3 days of trying, finally there's a ride. Now, you understand, this is not just a walk around the block. That's why it's a problem, man. It's like 200 miles or so, 4 hours of driving, and it's got his own car down there in the hospital garage, sitting there with its expired plates, proud as all get out, and ready to roll him back home, but nobody to drive it. He knows he tried. He fooled himself into thinking with all of these stitches and staples and stuff all over, and his body half falling apart and little bloody bags hanging from him and stuff. He thought he'd get in that thing and drive. Well, he forgot that he got to shift gears and push in on the clutch, and you can't do it, man. So even though he was ready to give himself a ride home, he knew he'd never make it, Couldn't do it, just didn't have the energy, just didn't have the ability. Because his body was too obliterated at that time. And he was wavering on that edge, but holding on for dear life, too, because he loved being alive. And he'd been willing to go through this thing rather than die, because it had finally come to that point where there wasn't no choice but just get in your automobile and drive to Denver. There wasn't anybody else offering to help, and he couldn't think of it. I mean, you're out of your head when you're in that much pain and stuff, when right there on the edge. And, if you don't do something, then something's going to be done with you, and you don't want to be done with it just yet. You don't feel like it's time yet, so you go. Even though you've been taking those crazy painkillers, you lay off of them for a little bit and just pray it won't hurt too bad. And you get in your car and you drive down there. And you make it somehow. The angels had to push you back on the road a couple times, didn't they? But you made it. You got a little room, then you got up bright and early, took a shower, got all clean, and run your butt over to the hospital and say, fix me, baby. And now you're in a fix. But finally, relief upon relief upon relief. It's like, wow, all right. Somebody to drive it and somebody to follow us on. And, they were going to go out there for a little vacation anyway, so it all worked out perfectly. And it turned out a couple extra days in the hospital didn't hurt him whatsoever, because those nurses were pampering the heck out of that old man. He was like well loved in that place, and folk were really looking out for him. But they didn't have no friends hanging out there to watch him, so they had to watch themselves. So the angels were watching over him, those angels, and those angels were seeing to it the old man got the greatest of care and had every opportunity to recover. And he was getting there. He's starting to learn how to eat again, starting to learn how to breathe again, starting to learn how to live again. Little by little, it's trickling in, and finally getting all the blankets off his bed, getting to where he's not freezing to death all the time walking that edge of death. It's cold, baby. And now he's got a warm feeling, because tomorrow morning they're coming for him. And he's going to get out of this place. As much as he loves the people there and as kind as they've been to him, it is already kind of bumping heads with the hospital ways, let's say, They wanted to do more, and he says, no, my body can't take no more. And they says, well, okay, you go home and rest for a little bit. We want you back in 2 weeks, right? Right. He was relieved, because he knew if he couldn't get out of that second operation or get out of that hospital, man, he'd be a dead and goner. He would not survive. He knew that. Couldn't take any more. The body says, enough. Now let me fix this. Let's get on our way, So finally, somehow, angel miracles everywhere. And he's able to make a stand without making his stand and get his butt out of there. Everything's going to be cool, and he knows he's going home. And if it's the last trip, it's the last trip. He's going to make it a good one. And baby, like they say, it's not going to linger. If this thing ain't going to get better, well, it ain't going to get any worse. You understand my meaning, baby? There's ways. And he would find one somehow if that was it, But he wasn't exactly ticking off the options. He just holding that one out there, because he knew, he could go in peace there. He knew it. It's one of the few places on earth where that'd be possible. Something about that place feels like home, but home is where the heart is, and the heart's within. So you carry that home wherever you go. So he could have just as easy passed away there down in that big old hospital in that big old city and been okay. It just wouldn't have been as comfortable. You see? Got to see a little bit beyond the 3D to really understand what's going on here. But when you're walking that edge, you know things that you don't otherwise remember. And you see things that you don't otherwise see. That's one of the healthy things about going to the edge of death, because it always brings you back to life. Whether it takes you off to the other side or keeps you in this one, either way, you get a good dose of that love that's in everything. You start to remember that. And you start to make peace within yourself about all the craziness that's gone on in your life. You laughingly see a trickle and a flow of onward love in all of it. It's very expansive, this life you're looking at that you just lived. You're saying, well, okay now. It grieves my heart that this isn't this way, that isn't that way, and these people aren't here, and that people, et cetera, et cetera. But life has a way of defining itself. And whatever that moment is, it's perfect. And the old man realizes, he spent most of his life alone. You know, I mean, and it's like he got comfortable inside of his own little hide after a long, long time. So much so that he could take this kind of ride and not only live to tell about it, grow to thrive and find some new drive, some new life in whatever time was left and allotted to him. And little by little, after they made that journey of love and got back here on the mountain where the energy was right, and he could heal and grow. He didn't really know that. He didn't know which way it would go. But he took it as it came. And it was difficult, of course. It's never easy. There's always this coyote thing going on. There's always this antagonism in this life, you know. And here you are trying to heal, and you got a little bit of help, but that help is, you know, not so helpful, difficult. And you got to deal with that as well as, you know, give yourself the time, the internal communion with that so-called other side, with the heart inside, which is the other side, you see. When you're taking that kind of ride, you're there, but you're slow and careful about it. There's no big hurry about anything anymore, you know. Just take your time and do it right. So you just walk through it. Whatever coyote medicine comes your way, you deal with it, and it's all okay. You're coming back to life now. You start to see that. And you know something? You feel like, wow, this is the life I've always wanted to live. That's what that old man felt. Finally, it's coming to me. It was there already, it's what he said. And there it is, coming out to play. And little by little, step by step, it's grown stronger and stronger. And there's always that coyote medicine, that little bit of difficulty, designed to throw you off the path, hold you back, swing you this way, swing you that way, draw you back into worry and fear. And, oh my goodness, dear, but we ain't got no room for it here. It's all about getting it clear. It's all about getting it on. It's all about remembering the heart and singing its song in a very real way, and not letting anything or anyone take that away. By letting it grow so much so that the medicine of it is so strong that no one comes along that doesn't sing along. You understand? It's a vibrational thing. It's a harmonic tone. It's a resonance you only get by going over to the other side a few times in your life and bringing more and more of it back with you when you do. But when you've got it, then you're starting to realize that world in this one. As you come back to life, even though it's crazier than hell around you, this earth seems to be coming back to life right along with you, as if she went to that death moment and you went there with her too. And you both not only survived, you were together in your willingness to endure what you had to keep going until you could finally sing that heart song. And everything you go through, all that coyote medicine, all the push, pull, and shove, and tendencies thereof, are born of the need to find that love, of redirecting ourselves even more. You know, you waver off, you feel it, baby. You waver in. And when you feel that, you learn how to hang on to it a little more. You know, it's just like by dying, you learn how to live, how to hang on to your life, and how to let it grow. Because most people are in a stagnant pool, you know. They don't grow that much. They go this far, no more. They get their toes in the water and say, oh my God, it's cold there, I can't do that. When the truth is, if they just went ahead and immersed themselves in it, immediately the waters around them warm up. Everything's just all right. You're swimming like a fish, a great delight. I mean, you know, it's perfect if you let it be. That's the truth of our reality. So we just got to get all the bullshit out of our way. That's what the old man says, what he's been teaching me as we go along here in this spring creek kind of way, man. You bet you're getting in the flow of love, the flow of life, don't you know? Learning about the medicine of heart and soul. Remember, is what we say, that there ain't no teachers along the way. We're all just children coming out to play. And if one's got a little of this and one's got a little of that, guess what? They ought to get together and mix those two up, eh? For a little while, man. See what that brew brings forward. Because then you'll have some more of this and some more of that, some more of that, some more. Pretty soon the whole life realizes itself as one big old ball of wax. One big old ball of love, I should say. It's a rock and roll ball, too, man. A rock opera that's rolling along, man, singing the heart's song. And that's what every dimensional presence we present here in that musical sort of way on Spring Creek, only on the Hazy Radio Network, represents, man. That's what they are. A suggestion. A carrier of the song of the heart. These are indeed angels singing, man. I don't care how evil they are in the 3D, or how evil they could be, because most of them are gone, passed away, but passed into the green room of love right here at this rock and roll radio show, man. But everybody's there, all them old rockers, man, you know. We get them all, babies, you know, and we bring them to you live and spontaneous, too, in that mystical sort of way, man, you know. If they want to come out and play, they tell me, I don't tell them. Well, once in a while I call for them, because somebody seems appropriate, this particular act, that particular song at that particular time. See, but it's all born of that same love, see. So as we get on the old air here, man, you know, other hearts come on and they show that they care, and we all join right here at this center place, you know, this resonant gateway, me and my little doggy and our crew here at the Spaceship Love, etc. And from here, it radiates back out to you, and it's like it becomes a great big old growing donut of love that just spreads out everywhere and gets constantly more expansive, man, you know. Rock and rolls and the song of the heart behind it is there to keep that medicine in the flow, to suggest to us what we don't see when we're not living in the multidimensional, when we're just stuck in the 3D, see. Yeah, that's something jar you loose, man. So you get a little Koyote medicine and a whole lot of rock and roll, and baby, your heart knows the medicine of real soul then, don't it? Real heart, baby. That's rock and roll. It's got the gritty shit in it, but it's great. And it feels so good when you release yourself from it. You know what I mean? Shit. I tell you. If it gets any better, I'm going to have to start wearing Pampers again, man. I'm telling you. Just, wah, wah, wah. Ooh, it's just so tremendous to be alive and living. And loving every breath you take, even if you know it might be your last. It's your first, too, you know. You got to think about that. Because the one you just took a moment ago is already gone, man. There's only one breath, and it goes on forever. Same as there's one heart, and it does too. And the breath is the life, the heart is the love that empowers it, okay? You're getting it clear, dear, here at Spring Creek. A clean drink of water, man, right from the original flow, don't you know? Only and exclusively on the Everclear Hazy Radio Network, darlings, hazyradio.com. We got it on 24/7, baby, especially in the morning when this old man, you know, wakes up from heaven and comes back to hell and shares a little paradise. I'm talking about horses now, you know. Well, I just love, you know, getting in the pasture or coming up to see a horse for the first time. 'Cause instantly you know. You just take one look at them and you see their eye and you see their energy and their temperament, and you know. It's real easy, man, you know, if you just trust the flow of it. See? So us cowboys, we call that instinct, but it's far more than that. It's an ability to see another being as they really are and know what kind of presence is there and what kind of difficulties you're going to have to work with, if any at all. You see, it's an instant knowing of whether there's a connection or not, or whether this one's best to let somebody else ride. And, you know, you go on looking for another till one does match, you see. But when you got that kind of match, then you tend, if you build up a herd or a tribe of ponies, man, or horses. I call them ponies because I like that term. But anyway, you build up a tribe, you keep them in the same vibe. You know, I demonstrated this as a living principle back in the 80s when I developed my own little trail string over there in southern Oregon. Yeah, as they go, you Hicks, man, it's Oregon. Everybody knows that. Anyway, down there in southwestern Oregon, man, I developed a little trail string, took people for rides in the woods and down along the rivers and stuff. Oh, wow, what a fun deal that was. But it was just like that. You start with one good animal that you connect with, that you can communicate with. And that sets the vibe for the whole tribe, man. And it did, and it does. And there was living proof of it. I called them, it was a tourist string. I called them Pete's Sweet Horses, is what I called. That's what I put on my little biz card there, you know, and I'd pass up. But I had people from all over the world come and ride those horses. People of all ranges of experience, from none at all until, how boring, do I have to ride your tame animals and stuff like that, you know? But all ranges of experience, etc. Taking them for rides in woods where there's rattlesnakes and bees and, you know, things that can upset things. And I never, ever had a tourist or a rider, you know, as we would say in the vernacular of the cowboy, get hurt. Nobody. You know, it was just, wow. And my horses were just in that vibe. And they, in turn, because they did this by agreement. You know, I didn't just say, okay, we're going to go make a trail string. I had a few horses, and, you know, it costs a lot to keep them. I was making good money at the time, so I could afford it, but just barely. So I was talking to those animals one day, you know, and you communicate with your animals. And talking is probably not exactly the right terminology, but they know what you say even if you don't say it. But anyway, long story short, I'm communicating with I got 4 of them then, I think. I'm communicating with them, and I'm, you know, the neighbor kids have been bugging me for some rides and stuff, and I think, well, shoot, I'll give them rides if they'll, like, you know, clean up my barn and stuff like that, you know, do a little work trade shit, and we'll have some fun. And I'll teach them how to ride in a real sort of way, which they don't get anywhere else, you know, because there's just not that many people in this world that are that sensitive to their animals, you know, and they just don't pay attention. They're too busy trying to dominate the animal and so on and so forth. And, you know, like I say, you can do that, but the energy will come back on you even if the horse doesn't. You know, a lot of horses are really forgiving, just like a lot of dogs are, you know, but some of them, no, they're not going to take that. They just don't have that kind of temperament. You start beating an animal like that, it's going to beat you, maybe put you in the ground. Because they're big enough to do it. You got to be really, really sensitive in dealing with your animals. You know, because a horse like that, it can be one of your best companions, one of the strongest friends you could ever establish a relationship with in this reality. That same kind of horse, the kind that wouldn't take any crap from you whatsoever, but if you make a friend out of it, and you don't abuse that friendship, that horse won't either, and it'll be your solid and faithful companion forever until it croaks. Falls over dead, man, you know, I mean, son of a gun. Now, you can't beat that kind of devotion. And if all you got to do is be willing to give a little of your own senses forward. You know, and let yourself be what you truthfully are, at least to that aspect. See, I see those things in my history as training myself back into being a real person again. Because truth is, we're in communication with all life. And these animals come, and we begin communication with them to remember, you know, to bring forward the memories of how it really is. How, you know, we really are that kind of dreaming center of creation. The horses, the cattles, the bears and the bees, the doggies, the kitties, they all arise from the same heart, the same Mother Earth, the same Mother Love that creates us. It's family. And we're all interrelated, and therefore we have an interrelated language. And here in this 3D, it seems to go on beneath the surface. We call it psychic or something, or animal communication. Oh, we can categorize shit here so quickly, man. Just let it be a natural thing. Let it be a flow. Nothing special. It's real. What you feel when you're with your animal. Now, you may not be communicating in words mentally or telepathically, but you communicate just the same. You understand one another. This is when you, allow yourself. I mean, the animal will allow you to be stupid sometimes, too. You know what I mean? It'll put up with you if you'll put up with it, too. You both have your little glitches, and everybody does. They got their triggers too. And you got to know how to approach them, if at all, or how to avoid them. That's the best way. But if, something needs triggering, well, do it as gently as you can. We don't push each other, man. We're here to pull each other along, not push each other, to create the magnetism and the reality that draws others up out of their own bullshit, Well, it begins with simple things like that. That's why, we have provided ourselves with domesticated beings that live of the animal kingdom, like horses and doggies and kitties, etc. And then the etc. can be pretty fun too if you know how to gently raise and train them and work with them. I mean, they'll train you. The birds I'm talking about, like a parrot or a cockatoo or something. I've done a little bit with them. They're a little more difficult to deal with because they're a little one-sided, But if you get a friend, there's nothing more. A parrot can live 100 years. A faithful friend, man, and call you a mother trucker every time you turn around. It'd be a lot of fun, really. But, a lot of work. So you don't take on stuff you can't deal with. See, some animals, well, you just got to recognize it. They're a little beyond your capability. Start small, work your way up. You're not a rancher today. You might be tomorrow, but you got to remember, you come from the city, the concrete jungle. You got to go reestablish yourself with nature. You got to move to some primitive place where, you got to deal with survival issues, and be with nature, And that's not easy for city folk to do because you give up a lot of comfort in the process. But if you know how to be comfortable inside of yourself, then the animals of nature will be comfortable with you, and you won't have a fight with it all the time. I'm not saying you won't have skeeters and stuff, everybody does, but I mean the essential fight, the essential difficulties, the conflict that we have with nature because of our square-headed way of being, Well, it's only by living in nature can we learn to flow with nature. And maybe sometimes by trying to go against her can we even start to recognize the flow, you see. There's a reason why our ancestors were a little retarded, but they came from primitive hunters. That's their background, I mean, you got to understand how low we can go to see how high we can really fly. Because one's born of the other and one's a reflection of the other. In the center is the truth of all that. That's Mother Earth. The place where we all find our birth. B-E-R-T-H, our place of being. See, and humans have felt out of place here for a long time, haven't we? I mean, we're the only ones in the whole of the 3D that don't get cared for by nature in some way. And even then we do, but we don't recognize it much. We lose our connection with nature in these concrete jungles that we build, on the asphalt highways and shit like that, and railroads and chug-a-lug, man. I tell you, this is why we're so primitive still. But I guess it's better than nothing, and at least, us primitives got a few comforts in life in our isolated little shacks and shanties and cardboard boxes down along the river. That nice little hole under the bridge where the I-beam's just right and it keeps you weather tight. That's awesome, man. Palaces are made of humble places sometimes, It's all in your state of being and all in your state of awareness, And angels will take care of you, whether you're living in a castle that rules over a kingdom or one of those sweet places under the bridge, man. And nobody knows and nobody can see it, and it's good. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, but once in a while, see. Or maybe you just got the perfect box down there along the river. Somebody threw away a big old thick refrigerator box. It's like a condominium on the sea, man. I mean, beautiful stuff, man. You fix it up real nice and be comfy and warm as toast in there, 20 below zero out there, right on the river, man. Doing all right. See, I tell you what, this life in the 3D is just what we make of it. It's all in what we see. All in what we allow to be. You see, this is what the whole of nature is here to reflect back to us, even when we feel that conflict with it, as if we have to conquer it.